People who have been blackmailed but got revenge, how did you do it? Story 1. Not me, but my friend's mom got blackmailed for nearly $100,000 by a Nigerian scammer. She met him on eHarmony, where he purported to be a foreign banker about to move to the States. She thought they were really hitting it off and began corresponding on a regular basis. Over time, he found out who all her friends and family were and where she worked. Eventually, they started sending intimate pictures to each other. That's when he dropped the act. He threatened to send the pictures to everyone she knew unless she wired him a few $1,000s. She sent the money immediately, but that wasn't the end of it. Over the course of the next few months, he continued demanding money until all her savings were completely depleted. She kept all this quiet from everyone she knew and was considering mortgaging her home so she could continue to pay for his silence. Luckily, one night at dinner, a few days before she was going to take out the loan on her house, she broke down in tears in front of my friend and confessed everything. My friend immediately called me, asking for legal advice. I'm an attorney, that is. I told him that while I had no legal experience in this area, I would do my best to dissuade the guy from releasing the pics. I then sent the guy a very official-sounding cease and desist email. In it, I identified myself as her attorney and explained that while we've not ruled out legal action yet, if he released the photos, we would not hesitate to hire a local detective to use the wire transfer information to hunt him down. While I conceded that we may not ever be able to bring him to justice, we would spare no expense to make his life very, very difficult. It was, of course, all a bluff, but it worked. We never heard from him again. My friend never told his mom that he had told me or anyone else. To spare her further embarrassment, he claimed he had a man-to-man conversation with the guy and that he had agreed to leave her alone. Story 2. Throwaway. I was living and working abroad and ended up in an abusive relationship with a guy who was an immigrant to that country. We had been casually dating when I was a student there, then returned home and we broke it off. Then I returned to the country, in a different city, to work. He showed up at my doorstep and then wouldn't leave. Things then slowly descended into a classic abusive relationship scenario. But the blackmail started when I wanted to travel with my friends to visit another country. He stole my passport and hid it, then forced me to agree to videotape one of our intimate times, or else I couldn't have my passport back. I agreed, and I got to go on my trip. Shortly after the trip, I left the country and returned to the U.S., and the blackmail began. He was extremely possessive and jealous, and would call me hundreds of times in the span of an hour if I didn't answer. During one of our fights, he showed me on Skype that he did not delete the video as promised upon my return from the trip, but that he still had it. He threatened me constantly that he would release the video and show all my friends, family, and coworkers if I didn't do what he wanted. For example, if I was sleeping over at a friend's house, he would make me Skype with him and show him everyone around me to prove I wasn't cheating on him. If I was at a bar, he'd want me to be on the phone with him, and he would need to audibly hear that I said to everyone that he said hello, so they would be aware I was his property. If I did not do this, I'd get threats. After a long time of this and developing severe anxiety, I found the courage to change my phone number. The threats continued for a while, still Facebook friends, but then I finally got courage to cut off all ties about a year and a half ago. He no longer holds the power over me and my life. Story 3. My friend Skyped with a random girl from the Philippines. They stripped and had fun times. After the session ended, she sent him a video of him touching himself along with a list of his friends on Facebook and his wife's Facebook accounts. She demanded $1,000. He was really scared of his wife getting to know what happened. He called me and asked for help. I asked him to tell her he's paying through company that processes international money transfer as a tactic, but never pay anything. Then made him ask her for more information, her full name, phone number, and address. She was very skeptical, but after he sent her photos of the office of that company, proving he's there and serious, she sent them. She only sent the name of the neighborhood, but not the exact address, though. I looked up the neighborhood and located the nearest police station's name and address. It was in a poor area in Manila. I called her through Google Voice. That meant the number that appeared on her phone was a local number from the Philippines. In a strong British accent, I told her I'm from the company that's processing the transaction and asked her we suspect it's a fraud. She was really scared and couldn't answer properly. When I cornered her, she abruptly ended the call and turned off the phone for 10 minutes. I asked my friend to message her right after that, telling that he got a call from the company processing the transaction too, and they said that the money is now located in Police Station X and she should go there to take it. She blocked him and never heard from her again. And he never had to pay again. Hope he keeps his dong in. Story 4. Well, I guess I was the blackmailer in this case, but hear me out. This happened over 12 years ago. I was in high school and 15 years old when I had my cell phone confiscated by one of the school administrators. I was walking into the school when it rang, and he demanded that I hand it over. He told me that he'd have it in his office until one of my parents came by to get it. My mom came to the school to pick up the phone, and it had been misplaced. The school isn't liable because student cell phones were not allowed on school property. About a month later, I was in a pawn shop with an older friend, and I see my cell phone in one of the glass cases. I knew it was mine because of the Mega Man sticker on the faceplate. The pawn shop clerk wouldn't budge when I told him that the cell phone was mine. He told me I would have to file a police report and prove that the phone was mine. Instead of doing that, I decided to go to the office of the school administrator and ask him why the phone he'd confiscated from me ended up in a pawn shop. He got all flustered, and I put two and two together. He'd been stealing student cell phones and selling them to pawn shops for extra cash. I called him out, and for the next 3 years, I blackmailed him for vending machine money whenever I saw him. Story 5. IT security-related story here, not the type of story you would see on this thread. Some random 15-year-old found the back-end IP address for my website via some software exploit and decided to DDoS my website with a botnet for ransom. I was contacted via email with the demands being 0.5 BTC if I wanted to keep my site up. I decided not to pay such ransom and try to figure out who the perpetrator was. Hint, it wasn't very hard to figure out. The kid accidentally sent the email with his personal Gmail account and his full name as the email address, plus a picture of his face as his profile picture. He also had a public Instagram account with his full name advertising his botnet services. Finally, his parents were also listed in his Facebook profile that he had. After I told his parents what he did, the attack on my website magically stopped, and all of his social media accounts were deleted, and I never heard from him again. Quite stupid if you ask me. Story 6. Sort of a mild case of blackmail for me. I was absolutely terrified of the dentist when I was little. Like full-on shakes, hysterical, ridiculous crying terrified. Anyway, one day I had broken my tooth on a piece of licorice. It was a molar, so it wasn't visible. I cried to my older sister that I didn't want to tell Mom because I'd have to go to the dentist. She took this as an opportunity to make me do everything she asked, or she'd rat me out and I'd have to go to the dentist. For the next year, I had to do her chores, her homework. She would beat the crap out of me and threaten to tell about my broken tooth. I was freaking petrified. The pain finally got so bad that I had to get help. Went in and got it fixed. Fear of dentist is gone. I will never forget nor forgive her for that stuff. When my mom found out she had been blackmailing me, she did nothing. Still chapped about it. Story 7. Not me, but a female friend of mine was dating a guy who always seemed to be low on money. He blamed it on high payments for a truck he had, which seemed odd, as the truck was in no way new nor worth that much. Well, apparently the payments were to his ex, who had found evidence, videos or pictures, can't remember such, that he had been abusing a young relative. Rather than turn him in, the witch blackmailed him for money. Eventually, he was found out anyhow, and when he got arrested and charged, the whole blackmail thing came out. My friend was pretty messed up after finding out she'd been dating a child molester, but honestly, I'd met the guy too, and it's not like there were any signs of it. Unfortunately, I don't think the ex was charged, but in my honest opinion, she should have been as a conspirator. Story 8. They wanted $15,000, or they wouldn't allow their daughter to sign the divorce papers. And also something about slandering, libel, as much as they could my name. Thing is, this is 2 years after his daughter left me on Christmas to go home and cheat on me and never come back, while also becoming addicted to heroin. I tried going through normal, amicable filing without a lawyer, which she just ignored. So this is after she was served with divorce papers formally from my lawyer, which was done because she wouldn't sign. He also emailed me this threat. So it was like being blackmailed to get a situation that I didn't need to happen to occur in an illegal and documented manner. It was evidence that the money I spent on the lawyer to get detached from that family was well spent. Story 9. Not sure if this counts, but an old friend of mine got blackmailed, but he kinda deserved it. He became obsessed with this girl and dated her for like a week before she broke up with him. He still persistently texted her and asked for nudes. It was straight up creepy the way he was talking to her. She continuously said no and made it clear she wasn't changing her mind. He said he was going to send some first so that she would send some later. He sent dong pics and she told him that if he doesn't stop, she'll post them all over her Instagram. He didn't take the warning. She posted the pictures. I was scrolling through my Insta and sure enough, there's my friend's dong with name and face. People called him Cheeto Puff for the longest time. Story 10. When I was 19, I was sort of dating a girl, and we happened to exchange a whole bunch of nudes. Noodles, that is. When I wanted to move on and see other people, she said I can't, and that she would post my noodles on a gay forum with my phone number if I didn't stay with her. I told her to go ahead, and a few days later, she sent me an AI message with all the links to the forums my noodles were posted at. My phone rang for several months from guys looking for a good time. I was really flattered. Story 11. Some guy on the internet and I had a disagreement, which obviously means I'm the worst person on earth. So this crazy mother fricker tracked down the noodle pictures I posted of my wife, found her email address, and found her real name in an attempt to shame me into agreeing with him, or else he would tell my wife what I was doing behind her back, which was solved via my wife messaging him with the same link and basically saying, "You really think I wouldn't know my husband posted these pictures? We're exhibitionists, you crazy piece of poop." Story 12. Someone filmed me and my ex-girlfriend doing it through the window. Creepy, right? They sent us a message that said they would send it to all our family members if we didn't give them $1,000. We didn't pay the money, called the cops, and they basically told us don't pay because they won't do anything. Most likely don't know all of our family or even know a way to send it to them. I moved houses and never heard from them again. I'm also married now in a completely different area, and my family never received anything. Story 13. In school, about 14, I broke up with my girlfriend, and she threatened to show everyone the dong pics I'd sent her. I told her that's fine with me, and nobody really gave a care. Got a few giggles off the girls, no big deal. Then I showed everyone the intimate messages she'd sent me because she felt totally embarrassed by it, and let it get to her. She ended up way worse off than me. It was good. Story 14. Ex-wife stole my credit card and booked a wedding. When I found out, I demanded my money back. She refused and then ran to the police and put in a report that I beat her and my daughter up. I was scared poopless and ended up marrying her in order for the charges to get dropped. I am now happily divorced. I just miss seeing my daughter like I used to. Story 15. I had a Pop-Tart. Girl wanted my Pop-Tart. She said, "Give me your Pop-Tart or I'll tell everyone you pushed me and stole my Pop-Tart." I looked at her and said, "Do it," with a straight face, then slowly ate the Pop-Tart in front of her. She then told the people sitting next to us they didn't care. This was also in college. Story 16. Back in high school, I was flirting with this girl, didn't know she was dating a notorious thug from the neighborhood with a criminal record. She told him that I was hitting on her, making her feel uncomfortable, and she would get him and his boys to kick my butt unless I gave her $20. I was just like, okay, $20? Sure. Ah yes, the potage story. Girl was heartbroken. She had low blood sugar and she fooled. But the diamond ring was in Sid. Please leave your stories in the comments. I'd love to make a video of them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.